Hi, this is Angel Christman, and I'm just finishing up the last couple minutes of my essay. I got cut off, my camera shut me off. I was at the very conclusion. I might back up to the... And just so you know, I had mentioned there was a missing page, but I looked and there's not a missing page, so I read everything. So this is the very last bit of essay part number 11. I was talking about what international cooperation means, and I'm saying the United States government seems to think of cooperation in terms of Ukraine uniting with NATO. Here, I'm going to read the entire conclusion again. The NSS claim that the conflict in Ukraine is not a struggle between the West and Russia, but rather a case of defending the UN Charter is absolutely bogus. Sullivan and Biden are clumsily trying to wrap themselves in the UN flag as they trod upon it and shred it in the process. Articles 1.1 and 1.3 call for collective measures and international cooperation in solving international problems. Unfortunately, U.S. policymakers seem to interpret these cooperative efforts as collaboration between the CIA and Ukrainian special forces to kill Russians. United action amongst NATO members to send fighter jets, cluster bombs, and depleted uranium to Ukraine to kill Russians. Cooperative world efforts to sanction Russia. And cooperative NATO and Ukrainian military efforts to kill Russians. The USG is missing the point of the UN. For such behaviors slay the very spirit of the UN Charter. The intent of UN collective cooperation is not to have a gang of allies shipping off weapons and forces to kill off adversaries. International cooperation refers to cooperation across the divisions. It refers to engaging in cooperative dialogue and negotiation with adversaries from the other side of conflict and sincerely striving to understand their perspectives. This is the spirit of the UN Charter. It involves learning about American fears, Russian fears, the fears of Ukrainians on all sides, Ukrainians who hate their government, Ukrainians who love their government, ethnic Russians, Jews, ultranationalists, neo-Nazis, the peace movement, Crimeans, Romani, and more, with awareness of the variations within each group. You find out what these individuals and groups fear and hope for. Put yourself in the shoes of each of them. Listen and give each one value. You try to satisfy the legitimate grievances of all sides. Kindly separate irrational from rational fears. Take steps to alleviate the worst fears of all sides. Help those with noble goals to achieve them. Help those with ignoble goals to strive for something better within themselves. Try to help them see each other in a positive light, and try to help them improve their own lives and the lives of others in positive ways. You care equally for all of them, and you try to help them care about each other, not cheat, harm, or kill one another. This is how you create peace, and this is how you defend the UN Charter. Thank you very much for listening. And that was the conclusion to the video just prior to this for part 11. And I said that that's the conclusion of the essay. I said I would talk a little bit more about Angel, my dog, at the end if there was time. So now there's plenty of time. And I think if for those who didn't hear at the beginning of the last essay, she died 1 week ago, and she was my best friend, and she was very essential to this peace work. Her spirit, and her company, and her love. If our political leaders, actually if all people, children and adults alike, were more like Angel, And I'm sure many of you have pets in your families, and we can include your beloved pets in this statement. If people were more like our beloved pets, the world would be a much kinder place, and it'd be a lot more fun. It'd be more joyful and loving and friendly. I do not think of human beings as a superior species. I think something went wrong with their brains. I know there's some advantages to their brains, but there are a lot of disadvantages. And Angel inspired me, and like many of your beloved pets, she was so loving. You know, in her eyes, adoring looks of love she'd give you, and loving for life, love for herself. She had, you know, great self-esteem, love, enthusiasm. She was so friendly on walks to the park. Or back, she always wanted to meet people. She'd make me stop and meet people. Like if we were going home, but she saw people coming down another street, she'd stop and refuse to move until they'd come down the street. And I'd have to kind of explain why we were standing there looking at them, because she wanted to meet them, and I asked if that'd be okay. And most people really loved that, and they loved to pet her and meet her. And she was so kind and intelligent. She used her intelligence in kind ways, as my sons have said. Like if she'd be resting outside in the grass or on the back, and very peaceful, but if I needed to go out in the car and I wanted her to come inside, I would just step outside. I wouldn't have to command her or tell her to do anything. I'd just say, Angel, I have to go out in the car right now, so could you come in and lie on the sofa? And she'd get right up and come in. And she was just so nice, and she understood language so well. And she was very funny, and she'd make me laugh on purpose. When she was resting, I'd hug her, and she'd start making these little puppy sounds, like guttural, almost like purring sounds. And it would make me laugh, and she'd hear me laugh, and then she'd make them louder, and then I'd laugh more, and she'd go louder. She liked to make me laugh. But I think animals are often more in touch with what I call their inner Buddha nature, and it's so nice to connect with them. And it helps you to get rid of all the trivial stuff. And a lot of stuff that causes conflict between nations is trivial stuff. I mean, some of it is real serious, right? Like the killing. But I mean the trivial stuff about wanting this contract, wanting that money, wanting that power, wanting that military base. That's trivial stuff. So I dedicated this essay to Angel, and again, the essay will be posted on countercurrents.org in case you'd like to see the endnotes. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for caring, and thank you for listening to what I said about Angel. She is my very best friend in the world, and she always will be. And I miss her really terribly. Thank you. Good night.